everybody, it's Clarissa. You are back in the limelight. We are back today with yet another extraordinary entrepreneur. You know how I love to bring entrepreneurs so that they can tell you all about their ups, their downs, their ins, their outs, their crowning moments and their glories today. But before we do that, I do want to remind you, please, to like, to share, subscribe, tell everybody you know, because we've got some really great content, interviews, great guests, and I love for everybody to know and to learn from them as much as possible. I also want to remind you that with magazine, you're going to want to go.com. Clarissa Burt, In the Limelight, lives there. There we have the Lamborghinis on. This magazine is coming out, and as soon as I have the hard copy on that, you will be able to see an amazing Italian artist who did that is, I think, is epic, and the moment that we all had going. So with that having been said, and not much further ado, I think I've said all my notes there. Yeah. Oh, you are going to want to also follow Inspired News Radio. That is where the podcast of this interview will be. You'll be able to hear if you're not, but you're really interested and you want to follow us on the podcast. It is In the Limelight with Clarissa Burt podcast in Inspired News Radio. They take care of that for me, and I thank them every time. You will be able to hear it on Apple. Is it Apple now? Yeah, Apple and Google Play and Stitcher. Yes, and Stitcher. Okay. All right, everybody. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in a lady that, she took care of a very, very, very common problem, and one that personally drives me crazy. So I'm going to bring her on now. Her name is Annette Crone. Hey, girlfriend. There she is. Bring her on. Hey, Annette.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning to you. And Annette, girls and guys, took care of a problem that, as I said, just drives me crazy. And it is the static when you brush your hair, and the static in the hair. And then you got to, try to find a million different ways. And then there was this really cool idea people thought was a great idea. And they go and they get their, what was it? The dryer sheet, Annette? How did that work?
Sheet? Yes. Dryer sheet.
And
that was
yeah. And they took the dryer sheet, and that would help with the static, right? But you came up with a better idea. Tell us about that.
So this was my $1 million moment. You know how they say that everybody has $1 million idea, and usually we don't run with it. So I always have had a problem with static. I travel to the Midwest a lot. So when I was always back in Cincinnati, I asked my staff, what do you do with all the static? And they said that the simplest thing to do was to run a dryer sheet through your hair. So I started out doing that. And then I thought, well, this is kind of a pain. I always have to make sure I have one. So I started stacking them on my brush. And then I started doing some research, and I realized that there are dryer sheets, and obviously there are hairbrushes, but nobody put the hair sheet onto the brush. So I just thought, well, let's see, you go out to buy something and you can't find it. And you have that moment where you think, I should do something about this. And I did. Yeah. So I contacted a patent attorney because I knew I wanted to have a patent on this, and, met with chemists to come up with a solution that was healthy for your hair, because dryer sheets aren't healthy for your hair. So that was how it just kind of all got started, like almost 5 years ago. So it takes time. And it was just something that I decided to move forward with. It was worth it. And, many times throughout the process, I thought, what the heck am I doing? And
so tell me about those moments. Were there moments that you sort of went, okay, what the heck am I doing? Does this even make sense? Are people even going to like it? Or is it just kind of a thing that I'm going to take a picture of this and bring it up? But you go ahead while we're talking, because I really want people to see what we're talking about. But you go ahead and tell us about the moments that, you kind of scratch your head and going, gee, I don't know, is this really even going to work?
It wasn't so much that I was worried, was it going to work? I was adamant that I wanted to manufacture in the US. And so you start that process of calling manufacturers, and you're a no name, so you just get hung up on a lot. And then I would think, okay, is this worth it? Is this worth it? And all along, I kept getting these signals that, yes, it was worth it. So it
So
kept
here
me
you go.
going, and
There's a
I
picture.
had, yeah, there's a picture of it.
There's
So,
a picture of it. I just, yeah. So
yeah, so it
that is a
is
really cool
laid with
idea. So
fabric.
the actual anti-static sheet lives in the brush. And as you're brushing your hair, this is taking away that static cling so that you don't have that issue anymore. And winters are always the worst, aren't they?
It is.
Yeah.
Um, so just small things along the way kept me going, and then you find a manufacturer. And then I was fortunate enough that a friend of mine had said that they knew somebody that was retiring from L'Oreal. He was a president of L'Oreal for 30 years, Pat Parenti.
Right.
And
Wow.
they said, you retiring, you should give him a call. So gave him a call, and he was interested. And I thought, okay, well, if Pat is interested, there's
There must be
got to
something
be more
to
to
this.
it. There must be something to it. There must be something to it. So,
Absolutely.
so he came on
So
as my
as if that wasn't enough.
co-founder.
I'm sorry. We are having a little bit of feedback.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm sorry if it. So okay. So when did the company launch?
The company launched basically in January of 2016.
Fantastic.
So the company launched, and it's been a long process, and I have to realize that I certainly understand why people start something and have an idea and stop. It is
Right.
extremely expensive. There are ups and a lot of downs in the beginning. Now there are far more ups than there are downs.
Well, that's wonderful.
And you have to have persistence, and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to believe that that everybody that started something didn't know what they were doing either in the beginning.
Right.
Because I think that's the thing that you have to keep reminding yourself, is that I can do this, and there's answers out there, and I can find. Right. I'm not expected to know everything, and I think that's one of the
great points. That is a great point. I'm not expected to know everything, because even the patent process is daunting in and of itself. I went down that path many years ago. I started to go down that path. And when I saw the money that was going into the legalities of it all, I stopped. I stopped, and you didn't. And that's really, really telling. If you're that convinced about this. So you're now out on the market.
We will be out on the market. Actually, we are launching mid-April. So awesome. We've gone through all of the testing, and I've got all my manufacturing. I was able to find manufacturing in the US. Right. 90% of it is being manufactured less than 2 miles from my home, which was really important to me, that I keep the money in my own community. And it's not easy to find manufacturing in the US when you're not a large company.
Exactly.
But I was able to stick true to my word, what I wanted for myself, and that was to manufacture in the US.
Now, the website where they can go and buy is called ForBabs.com, correct?
ForBabs.com, and we are launching a new website actually this coming week. So,
and why did you call it Why Babs? I know why, but I want you to tell everybody why.
Yeah, ForBabs, it was a tribute to my mother. So my mother's name was Barbara, and her girlfriends called her Babs. And I had just told her, we were talking, and I said, Mom, if I ever start another company, I'm going to name it ForBabs. A cousin of mine has a raw chocolate company, and he named it Fortina after his grandmother, which is my mom's sister. And I just thought, I'm going to name it ForBabs. And then lo and behold, that was many years ago that I said that. And then lo and behold, I saw this company, and I thought, as a tribute to my mom, who always gave me the confidence to know I can do whatever I want to do. Right. The name of the company is ForBabs, and I have had people say, you might have to change that name. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm not going to change the name.
Right. Right. That's great. I love that. It's such a warm tribute. The name of the brush itself is X-Static, correct?
Static is the name of the brush.
X-Static. Okay, just so we're really clear. Again, you can get that everybody, you can at Annette's website. It is ForBabs.com. The brushes are there. They're beautiful, and they're interchangeable. I see. Every how often do you suggest that somebody changes out the head?
Each brush head comes pre-populated with 12 sheets. So on days where I have a lot of static, it probably lasts me about 3 days. But then there are times that it's so easy to clean your brush that it would have lasted longer, but I just rip it off because it's so easy to always have a clean brush. It gets rid of the dust and the oils that you have in your hair. So I find that, I go through it a little more often. But it just depends. There are days that I have, when I have really heavy static, I even like take it out of the brush and just use the pad with the sheet. And if you have static in your clothes and you don't happen to have anything, you can take a sheet off and you can rub it on your clothes and it will.
That's extraordinary. I love that. And as if anti-static for you decided that you were going to go down the path for the brush for animals as well.
It's animals.
Called ForBabs. It's called ForBabs.
Yes. And that is for de-shedding and deodorizing. So it's not going to be for static. And I'm working with a chemist now to come up with that solution. And it will be so that you can deodorize and de-shed at the same time, because I don't know, I have a little dog and she doesn't like to sit still to have two different things done, right? To de-shed and try to deodorize her. So this way it's just going to be able to extend your grooming session. So we're starting with the small dog market. And I'm excited about that. And everybody seems to be really excited about the pet. It's also.
Yeah. And it's just such a, I really have to, my kudos to you, because again, we go back to the process of it not being the idea, when you had the idea and the passion and I'm going to say that this almost certainty, that feeling know it's right, notwithstanding all the difficulties. Know that it's right. Yeah.
And I think the advantage is you don't know what you're getting yourself into when you start. When I started, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I always have, I have a high confidence in myself that I can do anything I put my mind to. So,
I think, isn't there often like a point? Isn't there a point of no return at a certain point where maybe you're kind of right there to say, well, I could stop right now and I'd still be all right. It would still be okay, but you just keep moving on.
Many times I would tell my husband, who has just been a godsend, he's been supporting me all the way. And I would just kind of be like, I don't think I can do it anymore. I have a day job that I've been in a career in sales and marketing for 32 years at the same company. I'm like, I just don't think I can do this anymore. And he would say, okay, so how are you going to feel if you quit now? How are you going to feel?
Great question.
Yeah.
And question. So important.
And it would be like
right now.
Yeah. And it would be like, you know what? Okay, I'm not ready. And then just about the time, how they say that right about the time that you want to quit is the time where things are going to turn around. And I had gotten to that point, and I had decided that if I was getting a loan through the SBA, which has been fabulous for any new entrepreneurs out there. The process for me was wonderful, and they have been absolutely wonderful. And I thought, if doesn't come through, I think that's it. And the next day it came through just like that. So at
this point, I do want to stop and say to everyone that this interview was taped before the coronavirus and just at that moment when SBA was starting to step in for small businesses. So you are that.
It was way before that. That was last year. But let me tell you that the SBA through all of this has been incredible for people wanting to get new loans, and for those of us that have loans, unbelievable.
Wonderful to know. I didn't know that. I would have never thought of going down that path, but for other entrepreneurs to know. So okay, so now you're going to market, exciting stuff. I'm really thrilled for you. What's next? Is there something else brewing in the back of your head that okay, we've got humans, now we've taken care of dogs, possibly cats?
I have different ideas to put different things on the fabric. So dry shampoo is a huge seller, and
Right.
you know, solves a problem. So to be able to, instead of carry spray, this really came about because I traveled so much, and it was like, you know, you can't carry that many liquids and stuff. So I wanted to just kind of to streamline my packing and what I carry. And so with the dry shampoo, we've been in some testing phases for dry shampoo. There's keratin, there's some fun things that I'm looking forward to that I won't bring up yet because they're still too new. So I'm always on the lookout for different things that I can use this hairbrush treatment delivery system for. So got lots and lots of ideas. My team always tells me, okay, Annette, slow down. Let's get the first one out. And I'm already writing business plans for, additional products. Okay,
exactly. And that right there is a sign of the true entrepreneur and a successful entrepreneur, because they're always on to the next thing before the last thing is actually really come to fruition, right? So that's very exciting for you. You must be really, I'm going to go with proud of yourself for hanging in there, and your stick-to-itiveness, and just, making it happen, and not only, but really filling a need. It's perfect. So, perfect example of, I found the problem, I created a solution.
Yes. I think that's one of the main differences. When people say, well, do you think it's a good idea? Because why didn't a brush company, or why didn't a beauty, company that made hair sheets think of this? And I was like, well, because I wasn't sitting around thinking, how can I make money? I had a problem and I found a solution. And it's never been about how much money can I make. It was just, I had this problem and nobody had a solution for it that worked for me and was easy and convenient. So,
especially for us gals, you would go back to the traveling. We are all traveling a lot. And I know from experience, no matter where I go in the world, if I'm in a hotel or even someone else is kind enough to take me in as a guest in their home, the water all around the world is different. And it's going to interact differently with the shampoo that you brought along with the conditioner that you brought on. Water is different. The hardness levels are different. It's just different all the way around. And then add to that all the 4 different seasons, which make your hair, and the ions in the air and all that, it reacts differently. So the chances of finding static are pretty good. Good.
Yep.
So I love the idea. I really love the idea. I'm going to be sending me one, and thank you so much for that, because when I'll let you know how much I love it when I try it, because I can't wait. I'm so excited to try it. We are at the end of this interview, everybody. We've been speaking to Annette Crone, and you're going to want to go over to ForBabs.com. Take a look at the hairbrush. Get yourself 1 or 2 or 3. These make fabulous gifts too, by the way, just letting you know. And in closing, we're going to let everyone know how else they might find you. Can they find you on social?
Yes, they can find me on social, on IG at ForBabs _brushes. You can find me on Facebook at My ForBabs, and you can find me on Twitter at ForBabs Brushes.
Awesome! And wow, you're everywhere.
That's all the social media we're on right now.
Annette, we wish you continued success. We loved having you here on Entrepreneur Talk. Here in the Limelight, everybody. Thanks for coming on. Everybody, you know what to do. Go like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be talking to you on the next edition of In the Limelight with Clarissa Burt.
Thank you very much, Clarissa. It's been a joy.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Annette. Bye-bye.